Am I the asshole for telling a woman at the gym to stop filming because I kept ending up in her videos? I, 31M, go to the same gym most mornings before work. It's a normal chain gym, like no one of those influencer gyms, but people still record set sometimes. There are signs about not filming other members without consent, but it's not like it never happens. A few weeks ago this woman, I'll call her Jenna, started setting up a tripod near the cable machines. I didn't care, like I'm not trying to police anyone, I just did my workout and stayed out of the way. But then I kept noticing I was showing up in her videos anyway in the background. One day I was doing lateral raises and her phone was pointed straight through the mirror, so you could see a big chunk of the floor behind her. I only noticed because I could literally see myself in the mirror on her screen when I walked past. I'm not saying she was doing it on purpose, but I also don't want to be in some stranger's videos at 7 a.m. when I'm half awake and sweaty. The first time I said something, I tried to keep it casual. I waited until she was between sets and said, "Hey, I think I'm in the background of that. Would you mind adjusting it a bit?" She sighed, moved it slightly, and said she was just recording her form. A week later it happened again, and this time I said more directly, "I'm not comfortable being in your videos. Can you point it away from the main floor or keep it tighter?" She got annoyed and said if I don't comfortable I can work out somewhere else, 'cause it's a public gym. That's when I got frustrated. I told her it's not public, it's a private business, and I'm not the one filming. She rolled her eyes and walked away. So I went to the front desk and asked what the actual policy is. They told me filming is allowed, but if someone doesn't want to be in your shot you're supposed to adjust, and staff can step in if it keeps being an issue. I told them I'd already asked her twice. They went over and spoke to her. After that she concerned me near the lockers and said I was a creep for watching her, that I'm trying to control women at the gym, and that now she feels targeted and anxious to come in. Now I'm sitting here wondering if I escalated it too far. I just don't want to be in somebody's content. But I also get how going to staff can look like a bigger move than just letting it go. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. She is trying to manipulate you by pulling the anxious and nervous card to make you feel bad, so you will not continue to call her out on her inappropriate behavior. You are not the asshole. She's taking videos that include you, without consent, then corners you at the lockers to tell you you're making her feel unsafe. Please report this to management, and don't engage with her directly in future. Not the asshole. You didn't go too far, you did exactly what was within your right to do. The gym rules are clear, and she doesn't get to play the victim when she's the one breaking them. Am I the asshole H for embarrassing my boyfriend at his job? Yesterday I didn't have pockets, so I gave my boyfriend my card, and he put it in his wallet. I hadn't really been out since, so my boyfriend went to work with my card still in his pocket. I got a message from the electric company today saying that our account was past due, but it wasn't. I was unable to reach anyone. The system wouldn't let me make a payment online, yada yada yada. I went up to his job when it wasn't busy. It was just him and another clerk. I ordered food from the other clerk, and then asked my boyfriend for my payment card. He handed me the card and asked me if I was going shopping in an upbeat sort of way. I said, "No, unfortunately, there's something wrong with the electric bill, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out." He responded it in an angry way. "What did you do?" I was taken aback, and told him we might as well just talk about this later. He responded with, "Yeah, don't come up here bothering me with that sort of stuff." This is where things went sideways. My food was ready, and since there were other clerks and customers around, his whole demeanor changed, and he started being cheery and said in a sing-songy way, "Sarah, your order is ready," grinning face with big eyes. I looked at him, grabbed my food, and walked right out the door. He then texted me and said I embarrassed him not only in front of his customers, but in front of his employees, and to never come back up to his job again. I was actually already having a pretty rough day, and something about him coming at me sideways, and then trying to look cute when other people were around just completely set me off. So tell me, am I the asshole H? To give a little bit more context on why he was so upset, when I went and grabbed my food, I had a pretty pissed look on my face. I kept my eyes down, said thank you, and walked right out. Not the asshole. You should do what he said and never come back to his job again, or his car, or his house/apartment, or him, at all. This is just a taste of how he reacts when he assumes you've done something wrong. If anything, I think he was more embarrassing. The "what did you do" comment would have really embarrassed me. I also would have felt like his shopping comment was embarrassing. Not the asshole. I don't really understand why he got angry in the first place. He embarrassed himself, and you had every right to just leave afterwards. He can't act all friendly after snapping at you like that. Am I the asshole for leaving a small gathering after being told I was overreacting? I'm 24F. Last weekend, a few friends got together at one person's apartment to hang out. It wasn't a party, just snacks, music, and talking. I'd had a rough week and told everyone beforehand that I was a bit low energy, but still wanted to come by for a bit. At some point, the conversation shifted into jokes about personal stuff. Most of it was fine, but then one friend started making repeated comments about something I'm sensitive about. I laughed it off at first, but after the third or fourth remark, I asked them calmly to drop it. They rolled their eyes and said I was being dramatic, and that it was just jokes. A couple of others laughed, not really at me, but not exactly helping either. I felt embarrassed and honestly pretty small in that moment. I didn't argue. I just grabbed my jacket, said I was heading out early, and left. I didn't slam doors or raise my voice. I sent a short text later saying I needed space and didn't want things to get awkward. Since then, I've been told by two people from the group that I made things uncomfortable by leaving, and that I should have just ignored it instead of making a scene. From my perspective, staying would have meant either snapping or sitting there feeling awful. I'm not trying to punish anyone, and I'm not demanding apologies. I just didn't feel okay staying. Still, the way people are reacting has me second-guessing myself. Not the asshole, I hate that you're just being sensitive defense for being in a hole. Okay, if I'm too sensitive, then I'll just go be sensitive at home by myself. Not the asshole. Jokes are meant to be funny, not to make a friend so uncomfortable they want to leave. You're not wrong for setting boundaries in how you let people treat you. Did they know you were sensitive about the subject? Was it a normally laughable subject? If they did know, they suck. If they didn't know and it was normally laughable, they don't suck. No matter what, you're fully within your right to leave. Am I the asshole for not conceding to my wife's version of a story in front of our friends? I'm trying to figure out if I handled this right or if I was being stubborn, so I figured I'd ask here. This happened over the weekend. My wife and I were at a small dinner with two other couples. At one point, I was telling a story about a trip we took a few years ago and just a funny moment that came up in conversation. Mid-story, she cut in and said, "No, that was the second night, not the first." I said, "I remember it as the first night," and kept going with the story without trying to argue over it. The moment passed, and the rest of the dinner was fine. On the drive home, though, she brought it up. She said, "You didn't need to push back like that." It came off a bit dismissive. I listened and said, "I hear you. I'm still okay with how I handled it." In my mind, there was nothing to apologize for, and my comment wasn't about telling her she's wrong, because I only stated my side of things without arguing about it. She got irritated and said I was being defensive and that I always need to be right. Her tone got sharper, and it stopped feeling like feedback and started feeling like she was arguing about her own feelings with me that I didn't feel like I was responsible for. I tried to stay calm, but after a couple more comments, I said something like, "Clearly this isn't really about that comment at dinner. I don't think this is about me. If something else is bothering you, just talk to me directly, but I don't love that it's coming out like this. I'm going to take a walk and cool off, and I'll be back. Hopefully we can talk about what's actually going on." I grabbed my jacket and went for a walk around the block for about 20 minutes. She did talk to me about what was actually bothering her, unrelated to dinner, but still insists I was wrong and shouldn't talk over her. I just said, "I get that you feel that way, but I still don't agree that I caused this. I'm not trying to make it a power thing, but I also don't want to default to giving in every time just to avoid tension." She's free to see things her way, but insisting she's always right about things steps over the line for me when it comes to whether I feel respected in this relationship and dynamic or not, which is possibly why I am being a little too particular about holding my ground. Technically, if she didn't need to be right, she would have let it go and not have interrupted you. Not the asshole. Regardless what people think on whether you should argue or concede or whatever, the important part is this. She is the one who talked over you, corrected you, and felt she just had to be right, while you were telling a story. Not the asshole. She got irritated and said I was being defensive and that I always need to be right. "You always need to be right," said the woman who went out of her way to correct you on a pretty insignificant detail.